Decisions you make in your 20s can literally change the entire trajectory of your life. Opportunities you take can literally set you up for success in the long run, and opportunities you miss will never come back. Now, let me be clear, I did make a lot of mistakes in my 20s and I did miss a lot of opportunities, and I'm sure I will continue to do so because I have a lot of time left in my 20s still. But I was lucky enough to make some right choices as well, and because of that, I already have a net worth of over 100k, my own home, some skills I can leverage, and what I would consider an upward trajectory. So in this video, I will talk about the 3 pillars that I think will make you rich if you do them right. Those are your defense, your offense, and your leverage when it comes to your finances. Keep in mind, this is not financial advice. I'm just a random guy on the internet and you should make your own decisions. With that said, let's start talking about your defense. One of the craziest things I heard recently is that 1 out of every 4 American households live paycheck to paycheck. And as you know, studies like these are harder to come across in the EU, but you can see somewhat similar numbers around here or even higher. These numbers are absolutely crazy, and I used to do this myself. I used to live paycheck to paycheck, and I did this in my early 20s when I was already earning a good salary because I had a very well paid software developer job and I had no one to take care of other than myself. For me and a lot of other people, it usually comes down to 2 constraints. The first one being debt, and the second one is not having an emergency fund to cover unexpected expenses. So if you are in this stage as well, what you need to do is nuke down your high interest debt as soon as possible and build a stable emergency fund that can cover 3 to 6 months of expenses. And I believe in starting with a smaller emergency fund first, then going on to the high interest debt and then building the 6 months of emergency fund. I like this approach because if you just start the nuking right away and some unexpected expense comes in, then you need to take up another loan to cover that. So you are back at square one. Personally, I saved up 1 month of expenses first, then I nuked the debt down and then I built the emergency fund. We started with defense because there is no reason for you to put your money into index funds and make 12% and risk your capital, because whether you are investing in ETFs, index funds or Bitcoin, your capital is still at risk when you can get a guaranteed 15 to 20% return on your credit card debt. But once we knew that, it's time for us to talk about offense and investing in general. So when I first heard this, it absolutely blew my mind that every dollar you invest in your 20s has the potential to return up to $88 by the time you are 65. And this is just based on the historical average. And I know it's not that cool to be rich when you are 65, and we will talk about getting rich earlier. But let me tell you, it will really suck having to choose between buying groceries and medicine when you are 65, so it's up to you if you want to do that. Me personally, I think being rich at 65 is better than not being rich at all. And I'm obviously making money in my 20s. And my goal is to be at least a millionaire by the time I'm 35. But guess what, man? Investing in my 20s will actually get me closer to that as well. I never really understood this whole debate. So when it comes to your investing, one thing you need to keep in mind is you just need to be boring with it and consistent. If something sounds too good to be true, then you should probably stay away from it. Now, obviously, there are always outliers and there are always exceptions. And I know a lot of people got rich from NFTs and the .com crash and stuff like that. But what we tend to forget is that we are probably not going to be the exception, we are going to be the average. And that's just how the brain works, man. So you will always think you are going to be the exception, but you need to take a step back, look at the situation, and realize that you are probably not going to be the exception. You are probably going to be in the majority that loses a lot of money. But hey, at the end of the day, you do you. What I chose to be my main source of compounding is the stock market, and I do believe in some alternate currencies as well, like Bitcoin. Unfortunately, it's the same story with the stock market as well. A lot of people try to buy individual stocks, and that is just so dumb in my opinion. Like, there are literally hedge fund managers who went to school, learned business, learned about investing stocks. It's literally their 8-hour-a-day job. And only 10 to 20% of active hedge fund managers consistently beat the S&P 500. That means 90% are failing or underperforming that. If your knowledge about finances and stocks are YouTube videos like this one, and you don't have 8 hours to analyze market trends, why do you think you will be better than those people who have learned and studied and it's literally their job? You are probably not going to perform better. You are probably going to lose a lot of money. I know that I have a lot of friends that lost a lot of money this way, and I know that I don't have the capacity or the knowledge to outperform those hedge fund managers probably, so I'm not even going to try that. So my strategy on the investing front is just buying proven, reliable index funds and ETFs and just holding them over years. That's it. And that has made me consistent gains over the years, and it is probably going to do so in the future as well. I am also a big believer in diversification, and I never keep my money in one place, because if that one place goes to hell, then all of my money is lost, obviously. But here is the biggest mistake beginners do with diversification, and I did this myself. If you have a handful of rice and you put it into 10 different baskets, at the end of the day it's still just a handful of rice. So before you start worrying about diversification, you need to have some money you can diversify. And this brings us to our last topic, our last strategy, which is leverage. So I have already mentioned that $1 invested in your 20s has the potential to become even $100 by the time you are age 65. So it's probably a smart idea to put any money we have into investments in our 20s. But I believe people approach this from the wrong angle as well. I know a lot of people who make like $1,000 and they try to save like $50 extra by absolutely destroying their lifestyle into like an unhealthy state. When in reality, if they put their head down and learned and try to get some business going and try to maybe land a better job, they could easily 2x, 3x their income and keep their same lifestyle going. So what do you think is more reasonable to do? Earn an extra $50 a month by sacrificing your mental well-being, or earn an extra $1,000 a month, $2,000, unlimited extra potential basically, by sacrificing some time and effort on your end? The decision is obviously yours, but I know which route I'm going to choose. And I want to end this video with a little bit of a philosophical take on the whole money front. I think first of all, you need to be clear about what your goals are in life. It's really easy for our minds to get poisoned by all these social media and all these influencers, but you actually don't need that much money to be well off and be happy. If your purpose is not making a lot of money when you are young, but something entirely different, then I don't think you need to worry about making a lot of money when you are young, contrary to what all the other influencers are telling you on the internet. What you don't see on social media is that they are actually not fulfilled, they are just chasing money. Money is God and God is money. I believe that's how the saying goes. And I know it's hard to not feel bad when you see all these 20-year-old kids driving these supercars in Dubai, living in 5-star hotels and eating like steak and everything. But what you don't see is that 95% of those influencers take a personal loan, go to Dubai, do those things on a budget, constantly worry about money, record a bunch of videos, and just reuse that footage again and again, trying to sell you some kind of course to actually get rich. Like, do you see how completely backward that is? So don't let social media fool you, because it's not real. Most of these guys are fake. Being rich means you can do whatever the hell you want. Follow your passion on your own terms in your own time. That's what being rich is. Not living in Dubai and driving cars on personal loans and credit cards. But I think you should care about money for one reason, and that is your retirement. I know that especially in Europe, it's really popular to think that Social Security is going to take care of your retirement. So a lot of people don't even have any retirement plans or savings. But the issue is that this whole concept of the government paying for your retirement is really new. It's only been around for like 150 years, and we don't know how it's going to play out in the long term. And most developed countries are aging fast, meaning fewer workers and more retirees. The math just doesn't add up anymore. So I believe we need to take care of our own retirement by having good savings for it to be able to live off of, even if we won't have Social Security anymore. The good news is, if you start investing in your 20s, assuming an average interest rate of like 8%, which is the historical average, then it takes like $200 a month to be a millionaire by the time you retire. So it's not that hard and it doesn't involve a lot of sacrifice. So to sum up, stop worrying about others, start working on your own future, and just be smarter when it comes to money. There is no reason for you not to. That's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Before leaving, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment for me. It helps with the algorithm things, and honestly it just makes my day. If you want to learn how I lost 10k on business, then I will leave a link to it somewhere in the video. Thank you so much for watching and take care, man.